Coming up on Tech News Today, Amazon pulls in Netflix, China heats up the cyber Cold War, and a thermostat you'll actually drool over, but don't drool on it. It's all coming up next.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
Bandwidth for Tech News Today is provided by Cachefly at CACHEFLY.com.
This is Tech News Today for Tuesday, October 25th, 2011. Tech News Today is brought to you by the Epson Workforce Pro, the world's fastest two-sided printer engineered for productivity. It delivers high-speed automatic two-sided color printing, copying, scanning, and faxing to keep your business running at full speed. Plus, you'll save on ink. The Epson Workforce Pro. Check it out at Epson.com. And by Slingbox, which just turned your iPad into a television. Slingbox has a new iPad app, so now you can watch your home TV on your iPad anywhere you take it. Check it out at Best Buy or slingbox.com/twit.
Wow.
Welcome to Tech News Today. I'm Tom Merritt.
I'm Sarah Lane.
I'm Iyaz, Akhtar.
I'm Jason Howell.
And that was a lot of ad copy.
Yeah, it was.
What do you mean ad copy? You were just,
I was just talking.
You were just talking.
I happen to be looking down because I'm pondering what I think about the Epson Workforce.
We're gonna need a longer song.
I'm pretty impressed. I got to say that was an impressive feat.
We may have to talk to Epson about slimming that down a little, but we're very excited to have him on board as an advertiser. And I tried it out earlier today, and it's pretty awesome. We'll get to that in the ad. But let's start off with Amazon earnings report and welcome our guest, Veronica Belmont.
Hello.
You thought I was going to forget you, didn't you?
I did. Oh, my headroom is all crazy now because I'm not in the box anymore. I can't tell what I look like. All right, there we go.
There, that's what you look like. Hi. Veronica Belmont from
now.
Techzilla,
Thank you.
TEKZILLA.com.
We're going to keep her?
You're up in the corner there.
Well, she said she wasn't in the box anymore.
Those of you on the audio broadcast are not getting the full experience of seeing Veronica hovering in a corner above us.
Watching over you. I'm like a ceiling cat
Ceiling
right now.
Veronica is sliding around, watching
I'm
us.
looking on the wrong side.
Quite the power.
There we go. All right.
So Amazon net income decreased 73% to $63 million in the third quarter. Not what I was expecting, not what anyone was expecting, actually. Analysts expected a profit of 25 cents per share on $10.91 billion in revenue. Amazon delivered 14 cents a share, so just about half what analysts expected. Although the revenue was about right on it, $10.9 billion is what was expected. They increased their sales 44% to $10.88 billion in the third quarter. That was compared to $7.56 billion in the third quarter last year. So what's up with this? Of course, their stock's taken a pummeling after announcing a 73% decrease in income.
Which looks terrible on paper, but I mean, this is all about their whole build out for the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it seems like they didn't say why. I haven't seen a good explanation of why the big drop, except that they're spending money on infrastructure, which I take to mean Kindle.
I just love how the Amazon article on All Things D is like, Amazon blows it. Really, guys? Come on. Be a little more inflammatory,
Well,
please.
after Netflix dumped, I think everyone thought, oh, we're going to see a good report from Amazon, and then that's going to distance the two companies because they do compete in a couple arenas. And instead, Amazon's like, yeah, we boofed it too.
But if they, so they have pre-orders. Amazon has said for just the Kindle Fire itself has exceeded any holiday orders that they've even seen in the past for Kindles.
In the 3 weeks since launch, orders for electronic ink Kindles are double the previous launch. And with the Kindle Fire added in, Jeff Bezos said they're making millions more than we'd already planned.
Right. So you figure this is all, I mean, it seems to me like this is all going according to plan. They had to spend a bunch of money in order to get a great return. We just haven't seen those sales numbers yet because they haven't shipped to people yet. They've only been ordered.
People like to freak out quarter to quarter to quarter, but I mean, Amazon's obviously thinking long term. The Kindle Fire is supposed to do like a loss for every single unit they sell, but the idea is in the future they're going to make up the money. That's where this is all going to lead. So they're going to just dip down now. I think they actually had pretty conservative guidance for quarter four. They wanted to make sure people weren't freaking out about that when that happens. So I mean, this is all long term. But if you want to freak out now, go ahead.
It sounds
sell.
It sounds very similar to Netflix, except for the explanation. Netflix said, we didn't do very well this quarter. We're probably not going to do much better next quarter, but trust us, we're going to build us back. our reason is because people hate us. Whereas Amazon said the same thing. We didn't do very good this quarter. We're probably not going to do that great next quarter. But our reason is because we're spending money on something we think is going to sell very well. I think Amazon's a much easier pill to swallow in those cases.
We also know exactly what Amazon's working on, and people are really excited about it. Netflix, we're still sort of like, okay, you're going to make better deals. You're spending money on original series, but nobody knows if that's a good idea yet or not.
Yeah,
well, that's exactly one of the reasons why I'm so confused, is because if people know exactly what they're working on and what they're doing for the next quarter and for the holidays and for the future, then why are the investors getting so nervous, and why is it tanking so bad right now?
Well, you know, part of that may be the fact that it's just a bad day on the stock market because of worries over the European debt crisis. So it may get people so jittery that when they see any kind of bad news, they're like, you know what, I'm just pulling out. I'm just pulling out of this. And I think that's something a few people in the chat room are saying is Apple had a bad quarter too. I mean, we're just in a bad economy right now, so that's also part of it. You're just not going to see people making as much revenue as maybe they would like to make, given the economic conditions. I think Amazon is going to weather this just fine. They're going to sell a lot of Kindle Fires. People are going to get them at Christmas. They're going to start buying Amazon stuff, and they're going to have a bumper crop next year. At least, I would assume that's the way it's going to go.
So would you say buy now?
I don't want to make those kind of recommendations. I'm not sure what kind of SEC trouble I could get into. But yes.
Don't actually listen to anything we say on the show.
Yeah, exactly. We are not financial advisors, but yes. All right. A lot of talk about Apple TV today. It started, of course, with the Walter Isaacson book, Steve Jobs.
That's a thick book.
It's a big old book, isn't it?
I think it takes 25 hours as an audiobook to get through.
Really? Yep. Okay. I'll have to set aside 25 hours then. Yes. I'm reading it, though. I'm not doing audiobook.
We'll take the long way home tonight.
You could read it out loud. It'd be the same. 25 hours. There you go.
I could read faster. Anyway, the reason we're talking about the book at all is in the book, Steve Jobs made a quote to Walter Isaacson saying that he thought he had cracked a simple, easy-to-use television. And so everybody said, oh, Apple's going to come out with a television. Well, Walter Isaacson has since told CNET Apple wasn't close at all to developing a television. It's just that Steve thought he had figured out how to make one. But we've got a lot of leaks coming out. One, that Apple Vice President of Consumer Applications and the guy in charge of iTunes, Jeff Robbins, is heading up a team that's working on launching the television, that according to Bloomberg. And we have a lot of analysts jumping on this saying, hey, we've been talking television for all along, and you said we were crazy. Well, we still are. Gene Munster thinks that an Apple television will come in late 2012 or early 2013. And Sha Wu says content licensing is the thing holding it back, that they would put the television out tomorrow if they actually had all the deals in place.
This is something we... Go ahead.
Go ahead, Veronica.
I was going to say, this is something we've been talking about for a really, really long time. I think ever since the Apple TV came out, and we're like, well, why don't they just integrate this into an actual television set so we don't have to have the separate set-top box? But I do think that if there was something in particular holding it back, it would be those content deals, because everyone's having a hard time with that right now. Yeah,
that and live TV. How do you make live TV play elegantly in that situation?
One of the reasons I thought this thing was delayed, and probably will be delayed for a while, is it's about broadband penetration. If you're going to have basically an internet television, a device that's hooked up with an Ethernet and a plug, or just Wi-Fi and a plug, and you want to stream content in, you're going to need some really fast pipes. And the thing is, Apple couldn't sell this all over the United States even because there's not enough broadband penetration in the middle of the country. So even if they get the content, which I think that's also holding them back, because reading the Steve Jobs book and seeing how troublesome the music industry was, I'm sure the TV industry or the studios are kind of holding back as well. We've seen how much trouble Hulu gets, and they're a part of those companies, and they can't even get the content streaming. I think it's probably about 2 years off, but it seems like something they have to be making.
You know, I have to say that I don't know if broadband penetration is really that kind of issue. Oh, I got de-squeezed. De-squeezed of Veronica Sharman.
So many things you're missing.
It's like jumping all over the place.
To the video.
I know, if you're not seeing the video right now, it's hilarious. I don't think it's broadband penetration, though, because I think the people who would buy an Apple TV are the people who already have something like a set-top box or are doing something where they've got a lot of stuff going on in terms of broadband already. So I think the people they'd be marketing towards would probably already have that situation figured out, personally.
Well, I mean, I see your point there, but then there's also the fear, the growing change in the United States is data caps. So there's another issue. If you want to actually stream everything, now you have to run into that. So, like, I think the thing about Apple was when it comes to this television, they're not looking just to get their regular base, the people who bought the Apple TV. They want everybody.
Those are the people who are the hobbyists, right? Where they say, it's not for everybody. This is just a hobby of ours. Something like the iPod has become this ubiquitous thing that anybody can use. I would think that Apple would want to go that way in terms of a television experience as well.
All Things D reports that global equities research analyst Trip Chowdhury thinks it'll be like a Bose Video Wave.
That thing is like $5,200, so I certainly
hopefully it
hope
won't have
not.
the same price as a Bose Video Wave. But I could see something like that, and if they wanted to build an internet connection into it, certainly that would be a gating factor. If they said, we want to actually have LTE Advance, not even just LTE, but LTE Advance in here, so that anybody can get their video anytime, and we have to worry about bandwidth caps. And maybe Apple could be one of the companies that puts pressure on getting rid of bandwidth caps. I
also think it's kind of interesting that these rumors have been milling around for a while, but now they're back because of this quote that Steve Jobs gave Walter Isaacson in the book. And now Walter Isaacson is like the guy who holds the key to the secrets behind Apple and saying to CNET, they're not close. Well, what does close mean? Is 2013 not close? Because maybe some of these analysts are right on track. And does Walter Isaacson even really know
and if he did,
with
what
the
did he
roadmap
say?
for the next couple of years? Either or is he? I don't.
And does Apple even know how close they are?
Right.
I mean, if they've got a prototype, as it's reported here, they obviously are looking at it saying it's not right yet. We need to get it right, and so they may not know when it's coming out. Veronica and I were both at BlizzCon this weekend, and that was hammered over and over by Blizzard to their fans, which is, sure, we know our next expansion for the World of Warcraft game is going to be this, Mist of Pandaria, and it will be out when it's done. And when it's done is when we look at it and go, okay, it's satisfactory. So it's not like Apple has some secret date already in mind for the TV. They're going to wait until it's sufficient when they look at it and say, yes, that does everything we want to do. Let's move on to RSA Executive Chairman Art Coviello, who spoke, we talked about this on TNT a couple weeks ago, spoke at a London conference, and implied that the hack on RSA, if you remember, those are the little dongles that give you two-factor authentication, or authentication, if you don't want to use real words. And they sell those dongles to military applications so that you have high-level authentication on military systems. They were hacked back in the early part of the year. Coviello said it could only have been perpetrated by a nation state. Ars Technica reporting today that data shared with Congress by security experts suggests strongly that the nation state in question, not a big surprise here, was China, and that the infrastructure used in the attacks had been active long before RSA was breached. Security blogger Brian Krebs reports over 700 organizations' networks were found to be transmitting data back to command and control networks. And of the over 300 command and control networks used to coordinate the zero-day attacks, the vast majority, 299 of them, were located in China. So this is more than just like, there was an IP address in China and who knows where it was routed from. It looks like they have some pretty good evidence that these attacks originated in China. The first communication with these command and control networks dates back to November 2010. That predates the timeline of the Flash zero-day attack by at least 3 months.
I guess my first question is, okay, let's say that this is true. What does our U.S. government do now? You know, I mean, what are the next steps as far as some sort of a... I mean,
so China. How about that security breach? Huh?
Right. If the U.S. and China are doing their best to figure out how to move forward in a friendly sort of a way, this is going way against that. And now what do we do?
I think publicly you'll see we're launching a full investigation of the matter, but we are not going to comment now, right? That's what's probably happening. On top of that, I mean, there's no way the U.S. isn't already doing this with every other country. I mean, our intelligence agencies are known for doing these kinds of things as well. So the fact that China was doing this, if it was them, that doesn't really surprise me so much. I mean, why wouldn't they be looking into as many other countries' defenses as they could? I mean,
we may not be doing something this level to China. I mean, I think it's fair to say that Israel, probably with U.S. help, perpetrated Stuxnet. At least that's the conventional wisdom. We don't know that for sure. But that I would believe. That we would be hacking into military encryption in China. Sure, I'm sure we're trying, yeah. You're probably right, but I haven't heard anything about it. I think this is part of the Cold War that's brewing between China and the United States, and I think what it's going to mean is Huawei has no chance in hell of getting an expanded business in the United States, and Jack Ma is not going to be approved to buy Yahoo. That is what this is going to do. Is the United States is going to get in the way of China expanding its business into the United States as long as this sort of thing continues.
You think that's going to end up to create leverage for the whole, like maybe reducing the debt a little bit with China? But like, oh, by the way, we'll take care of this. And it seems like it's just going to become very political, and it's going to tie back to the entire. Oh, by the way, China, we owe you. How much money? Like I can't even imagine it right now.
Yeah, but that's just bonds. I mean, bonds are bonds. I personally don't think that that's too much leverage. I don't think any country has ever used that kind of debt leverage. In fact, it usually works the other way. The country that owes the money usually has power over the country they owe it to, because they're like, hey,
do you want your money?
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing to watch and interesting to see how this stuff unfolds. Let's take a quick break and welcome our newest sponsor, the Epson Workforce Pro, the world's fastest two-sided inkjet printer. Epson has engineered the Workforce Pro for productivity. It delivers high-speed, automatic, two-sided color printing. There it is. Leo's delivering it.
It sounds just like my impression of him before the show.
That is actually scarily accurate.
It fits neatly into your pocket, as you can see.
I carry it all the way in.
That would go right into my small purse, my evening bag.
It's a work printer, exactly. And now I can print from my phone with this, actually.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, I don't know if.
kidding me.
Yeah, that it just has to be on the same network as the phone. I did this earlier. That's
All right,
the
well, let me plug it in.
that's the brilliant.
Wait a minute.
Does it? It actually has to have electricity to
Hold
work.
on, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
that is.
You guys got a plug?
No,
No, actually, we probably don't.
sadly, we're really plugged in already.
Maybe next to my computer back there.
This is going to end with Leo crawling around
Yeah,
under
this
our
is-
legs.
Well, a little
Buy
scary.
you if you want it.
Here, in the meantime,
Ink cartridges have extra high capacity, by the way. You don't have to replace them as often. Gives you 50% less cost per page.
Let me turn it on.
Is it actually on?
Not yet.
580 sheet paper capacity. That's why it's so big. You load paper less often. Just pop it in there.
Just lighten up.
Check it out at Epson.com.
Well, you guys are good comedy.
Want to
troops.
see?
Tom just is like,
You ordered Epson printer.
yeah, where do I sign?
All right. Here you go.
Got the Epson logo up.
got
That
the
means it's
scanner
working.
in here.
That's right. It's a scanner, too. This is
Oh,
multifunction.
this is a multifunction. You can do everything. See, you got your cartridges there. Look at that extra big high-capacity cartridges. So you
colors.
can print a lot, and it's fast. Did I tell you it's fast? It's fast.
How fast is it?
I don't know. Who was that? Becky Worley?
No, Belmont.
Becky Beaumont?
No,
I don't
Veronica
know her.
Belmont.
Is that Veronica? Hey, Veronica.
Hey,
Hey, how you doing?
Nice printer.
Sorry to interrupt
Nice-
the show. I just wanted to show you the new printer.
nice printer you got there.
Hey,
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's checking the ink cartridges now.
Your delivery man
The
might not be as
crazy
excited.
thing is, like, I've got a website here. I can just press print. I did this earlier. This thing was all the way
I
across.
got it from the iPad.
Yeah.
Remember we were complaining that,
Yes.
yeah, but you had to have this is it. This is the one.
Wireless
Let's all
printing.
get Epsons.
All on the same network. But this one, you know, the best part is this one's going into Lisa's office because she needs a printer for
No,
confidential
it's not.
confidential stuff.
Leo's getting it.
And I can't wait to just print things and have it sent to her. Yeah, I just pull up websites.
Your
And,
new contract.
yeah, here it is.
Here it is.
Can you just sign
sealed,
that?
delivered.
I'll just call her on my phone. Hey,
This is really cool.
pick that up.
So,
all right,
go
is
ahead,
it all
Rick.
connected?
It's
Let's
all
see.
ready.
Yeah, that's
of paper in
there we
it.
go. So I just on the app, just
at it.
tap
It's printing
print.
already.
There it goes, right off the phone.
Oh, that's your new contract? I'll take a look.
This is yeah. There's some salary information on there. That
Oh no, he's printing a headshot.
oh no, it's just my website. Actually.
Oh, all right. Well, it's color, you know.
Yeah.
And it's really good quality.
That's pretty
Look at
fast.
that. It's very
For a
fast.
color
Look
sheet.
at that. That's from his iPhone.
And think about the network setup too, right? He just plugged that thing in, and it connected to the
The most
network.
beautiful web page I could ever
Just remembered it.
imagine to see.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
That's more.
Look at that.
More is coming out. It's cool. We got big extra capacity cartridges here. You're really
Yeah,
using up
oh, it's a 5-page website.
Oh, more. Anyway,
Yeah, it's
that
gonna
is
keep
really
going.
neat. How much would this cost?
I don't have the price on it though.
I have the website.
It's actually it's very affordable. I think
$400
it's $400. Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. $399.99.
This just came out. This just came out, and we are really excited. You can do all the things. This is the all-in-one printer, very fast. Pages per minute. You can do double-sided. It can do a lot of the. We're just not using all the fancy features.
This
Black
is how
and
I
white or
read
color
Tom's blog. I
copy.
just print it out before I go anywhere and take it with me.
You can fax. You can scan. You can copy. What more would you ever want?
You could get all the footers. Yes, you did. That's the Epson Workforce Pro. Check it out at Epson.com. Thank you, Leo, for the demonstration.
Black page. You know, I'm
Look
not
at
made of
that's a
money
high
here.
capacity ink cartridge. That's why you don't even have to worry.
Anyway, this is a very nice printer. We're really excited about this, and we're really happy to have Epson. So everybody run out and buy Epson products, and especially if you're in a business or a small business or a home where you got a lot of printing to do, the 4540 Workforce. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Leo Laporte.
Did I leave this here? Or,
Yeah, you can leave it there. That's fine.
We're fine.
Yeah.
It's
And
good.
thank you, Epson.
It's got a nice warmth to it.
Hopefully
Radiating at you.
people won't be printing during the show.
I'll just go into the next story here. It's actually not. It's pretty cool.
Hey, I just realized none of you are wearing headphones. How the heck do you hear me?
We have little IFBs in one
Speakers?
ear.
Yeah.
Get out, really?
We have things in
Look
our
at that.
ears.
Yeah.
I got an Xbox connection.
They're not a sponsor.
Too bad you're not doing a gaming show. If you were, you could probably use this.
Yeah, we still need another host for that thing.
Yeah. If you were just doing a gaming show.
Yeah. All right.
Decaf. Look into it.
Crazy Eddie.
DSL Reports, or BroadbandReports.com, reported that Friday, Sanford Bernstein and Company analysts noted that T-Mobile needs a plan B, or maybe it's a plan A, now that it looks like AT&T will not be approved to buy them. Now, I still think AT&T is going to get approved. AT&T is working on a counter-proposal to the Department of Justice. As it stands right now, the Department of Justice will not approve the merger. So they note at Bernstein and Company that Comcast, Time Warner Cable together hold a 20 megahertz block of the 1700 to 2100 megahertz advanced wireless service spectrum. It covers about 80% of the U.S. T-Mobile needs that spectrum. They can't do true advanced things like LTE without it, and it happens to be available. T-Mobile's near-term spectrum issues could be solved by a deal with Comcast and Time Warner for spectrum, therefore appealing. It's appealing, says Bernstein and Company, and is very likely the principal plan B for T-Mobile. In fact, companies like Cablevision have filed merger complaints with the FCC stating they'd like to strike a deal with T-Mobile. That will become impossible if AT&T buys them. So another chink in the approval process for AT&T. I don't know. What do you guys think of this idea? If T-Mobile sticks around, they become a true fourth competitor by getting spectrum from the cable companies, and the cable companies probably would also sell T-Mobile service.
So what would the agreement be then? It's not as if someone like a company like Comcast would buy T-Mobile. They would just, T-Mobile would rent space, rent spectrum from them.
Yeah, exactly. They get a license deal to say, you'll let us use this spectrum for a term of years. In exchange, we'll pay you this much money, or provide this number of service to your customers. Maybe run a Comcast-branded wireless service like they do with Clear right now.
Right.
But this isn't something they could do if they did merge with AT&T?
Well, the cable companies assert that if AT&T buys T-Mobile, AT&T won't do a deal with them because AT&T doesn't need that spectrum. AT&T's got plenty of spectrum, whereas T-Mobile needs it. They really can't move forward without more spectrum.
I mean, if T-Mobile is going to be a competitor, they need to do everything possible to have as much spectrum as they can. Because I mean, right now they're still running those sort of 4G speeds. They need to have more spectrum. They need to be able to do more to have. If they want to have more customers, they need more capacity. So the thing is, if they worked with these cable companies and they were co-branded, or they were, I don't know if they would be sharing like
it could work a lot of different
or
ways.
what. I could see it easily being like, if you are now using Comcast and you have T-Mobile on one bill, like you could imagine them all working together that way. It might be kind of interesting with the bundling concepts, because you can do that with Verizon now. You know, your television and your internet and your wireless phone could be Verizon. So why not do something like that with T-Mobile?
Yeah, I'm still skeptical that an AT&T T-Mobile merger would make AT&T that much better that I should be embracing it. But I also know that if T-Mobile and AT&T don't merge, T-Mobile's probably going to fall flat on its face. That it can't expand, it can't succeed on its own. It needs a partner. So this may be the partner that it needs to carry on. A new thermostat has taken the internet by storm. Woo! I didn't say the wrong word there. It's a thermostat. Nest Labs is run by Tony Fadell, longtime SVP of Apple's iPod division, now out on his own, with lead engineer Matt Rogers, also a former Apple employee. The thermostat is called Nest and goes on sale next month for $249. You can get it at places like Best Buy. 6 sensors keep tabs on things like temperature, ambient light, humidity, motion. And then after a week of receiving all these measurements and seeing how you adjust the temperature as you come and go in your house, it will start to predict what it should be doing based on your routine. And if you change your routine, if you're at home, it has a motion sensor, right? So it'll tell that you're home, and it will adjust appropriately. Say, oh, well, normally I'm down at 66 right now, but I can tell somebody's home, so I'm going to pop it back up to 70.
Not only
How
that,
cool
but
is
if you
that?
have a couple of units, they can wirelessly communicate with each other, so that if you're down in one room, even though you haven't walked through the living room knows, hey, I might want to heat up or cool down depending on the time of year, this room, because Sarah's already home. She just hasn't come upstairs yet.
What's cool is that this goes way beyond even like home automation. This is like home artificial intelligence, because you don't need to even control it. It just learns your habits. And then after a while, it knows how you like, how warm or cold you like your house, what time of day. It can tell how many people are home and what your usual like routine is. I think it's really cool. And it has such far reaching implications for energy saving and energy consumption that I think it could be really a game changer in that space.
I want to know, all of us on the show right now are animal owners. So how much are my cats
That's like in a
going to
balmy
keep the heat on when
74.
I'm not home?
Well, it looked like they were showing off an application too, so you could actually, I would imagine, override some of these things. Maybe you want to make sure the behaviors aren't setting off your heat and everything. And everyone is noticing in the chat room that when the heat's on, it looks like Hal. Right, it's a big red logo, a red circle. Maybe
that indicates that it's on its way to warming up.
Yeah, I think
the
that makes
blue is I'm on its way to cooling down.
So it tells you the temperature, the current temperature, the temperature it's targeting, and whether it's rising or falling based on when it's blue, that means it's falling. They say it takes about 20 minutes to install, or you can hire an installer. If you're not at home, it lowers the temp to save energy, all that stuff. Click wheel. Because, these guys made the iPod, so of course it's going to have a click wheel, but it also has an iPhone app and a web interface so that you can look at it that way. Finally, let's wrap up with some Pew Research Center Project for Excellence in Journalism and the Economist Group commissioning the Princeton Survey Research Associates to do a study of how tablet owners use their tablets. 53% of those polled said they read news daily. That's the third most popular activity behind web surfing and email. Web surfing and email, you'd probably assume, would be up there. But ahead of social networks. People use it to read news more than social networks. So everybody who's out there saying, aha, I'm charging for my iPad app, for my newspaper, I'm going to make tons of money now on the tablet. No. Turns out only 14% of those who grab the news through their tablets said they've paid for content on the tablet.
Don't you think
How's the
that's
daily
just
doing?
because so many of those people are just accessing websites via Safari?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly why. But that's what the newspapers were hoping wouldn't happen.
They've got all their special apps. I was just asking, I wonder how the Daily's doing. I haven't checked up on that app in a really long time, and I know they were subscription-based, and I'm curious to know if they've kept their numbers up and how the subscriptions have been looking.
We actually have not looked at Daily's numbers recently, but I know after their first few months, numbers had fallen considerably. It was a news fuse we talked about a while back. I don't know how things have changed since then, but I think that the whole tablet experience is still new enough so that even if they're going to figure out how people are going to pay for their news later on, as long as I can access a website and I can read the New York Times for free and I don't have to pay anything, I'm going to do that, whether it's on my tablet or in a browser on my laptop. I think that a lot of people feel the same way. If you're not required to pay, then you could probably just forget that there's that nice app that maybe looks a little bit better.
Well, it's hard, too, because a lot of these special applications were created because they have certain multimedia, things built into them that goes beyond what a normal website would give you. But I think people are realizing that the web experience is optimal enough that they don't need to go into these certain walled gardens within their tablet. And so you're just seeing people read on, Google Reader or Instapaper or Pulse, or you're just getting the regular content. You're not seeing anything extra, but you're also not feeling like you're missing out.
Man, this is a study from Pew, but the thing is that it was a phone survey, reached what, 1,100 people? I mean, is that really enough of an indication of how people use tablets?
You're just asking of whether phone surveys are valid.
I'm just saying that
there's lots of phone surveys, and they can be very valid.
Perhaps the applications that people are making aren't completely useless. This just could be a very specialized group. I don't think 1,200 people is enough.
You're jumping to the conclusion that they didn't weight the sample properly. I don't know that that's not true. 1,159 users is a good sample. If it's weighted properly, it's perfectly legitimate.
Well, especially it's a little bit different. 1,100 tablet news reading users is a more interesting sample than 1,100 people that eat cereal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a specific group of people.
I mean, yes, it's easy for folks out there to jump to the conclusion like, well, they didn't survey everyone in the country, and so it must not be valid. You can get valid results from small sample sizes if the research is done properly. Now, I don't know if the research was done properly or not. Princeton Survey Research Associates, I would assume, knows how to do a good survey. But yeah, maybe there are flaws with this study. That's always a good question with surveys. But I'm going to trust Princeton in this one case. And I think that these numbers are probably right, because I think it just makes sense to me that they would be right. And I don't have any reason not to trust that they didn't conduct the survey well without digging into it. But yeah, you could do that with any survey. You can just say, well, I disagree with it because it's a survey instead of...
I didn't say I disagree with it.
Let's take a very small informal survey. We're all tablet owners. How many of us pay for news?
Well, now that's going to be totally unscientific. But no,
it's a very small informal survey.
I fall in the 23% that said they subscribe to a print or newspaper magazine that includes digital access. I get The Economist, but I don't pay for any apps for news, particularly on the iPad.
And I do, but a lot of that is research-based for a show that I do on the TWiT network.
Yeah.
So that's hard. It's very hard for me to say if I would regularly if it wasn't part of my job.
I don't pay for news content.
And you don't
on
pay
tablet.
for news. I think that these numbers are going to change one day down the road when there is no physical newspaper to subscribe to. And it's like, okay, well, the web version was in addition to that physical newspaper that you like so much. Do you still want all the stuff in that newspaper? Because we're not going to be printing out anything on paper anymore. Here's this nice tablet application that you're going to love. Are people going to buy that? Yeah, if they have to choose between, if they only have one choice, then I think that they're going to end up making money off of this stuff. Right now, it's not really that mandatory. And that's all I have to say about that.
Veronica,
Agreed.
do you pay for any news apps?
I don't.
I don't. The question is, it's going to be, if 14% is enough for you to turn a profit, then that's fine. I mean, that's what the Times of London keeps saying is, yeah, we've lost most of our readers when we put the paper behind a paywall, but that doesn't matter because we're making money on the ones that stayed. So, yeah, I've always maintained, and I still believe, that if there are enough other news sources out there, enough blogs and enough other places, people will go to them. They won't pay for news. They'll just browse. But if there's enough people who are like, no, I love the New York Times, or I love the Times of London, that will pay, then maybe you can have both models work. The color printing on the Epson Workforce, by the way, is very good.
Really nice.
Yeah. You can print photos as well.
That is a good-looking guy. Is that Chris Martin from Coldplay?
I think so, yeah.
He is adorable.
Love me some Coldplay.
Wow.
Let's move on to the news views. The Wall Street Journal reports that Visa and MasterCard are each working on plans to target online advertising based on your purchases in brick-and-mortar stores. The Journal obtained a MasterCard document that explained how the purchases would be linked, but MasterCard has told the Journal that those particular plans were shelved due to privacy concerns. Visa and MasterCard are said to still be working on a solution.
Basis International is now suing RIM over the trademark to BBX. RIM had announced it was rebranding its mobile operating system as BBX this month, but Basis International already had that mark registered. Basis International's BBX is for its own software, and the company sent RIM a cease and desist letter before they said, okay, fine, you're not going to do anything, we're filing suit. And they did.
One of these days, I just want to start a news piece. Good news for RIM.
Yeah, it's not today.
It's still earnings season, and ARM announced it did very well in Q3. Net profits for the quarter were over $50 million compared to $23 million in Q3 of 2010. Revenue was also better than expected at $192.3 million. 1 billion ARM mobile chips were shipped in the quarter.
Motorola announced by Twitter that it will update its Android handsets to Ice Cream Sandwich 6 weeks after the official release by Google. So you can say all of 6 weeks. You'll have to wait 6 weeks or only 6 weeks, depending on whether you're an optimist or a pessimist. Motorola's Android software upgrade page says that the Droid Razr, Zoom, and the Bionic will be updated, but timing details aren't present on that page. Google will launch Ice Cream Sandwich with the Galaxy Nexus by the end of the year.
HTC is sending out over-the-air updates to several phones to patch a security flaw that stems from HTC Sense UI. Android Police has confirmed updates to the Evo line on Sprint, Thunderbolt, and the MyTouch on T-Mobile. You can manually check for an update by going into Settings, About Phone, System Update, HTC Software Update. See if you qualify. The vulnerability could allow malicious apps to get access to user info, email addresses, location data, and lots of other nasty stuff.
Yeah, so go get that update. Malware infected a number of computers in the Japanese parliament, which could have exposed data of 480 lawmakers and their staff. Local news outlet Asahi Shimbun reports that the attack began in July, but security officials were not aware of it until August. Login information and emails may have been stolen, but it is unknown who committed these attacks or what they were looking for.
IBM's board of directors have announced that Virginia M. Romedy is taking over as CEO of the iconic company starting in 2012. Current chief Samuel Palmisano will stay on as chairman of the board, but at the end of the year will hand over reins to Romedy. She led IBM's push into services and took over as senior vice president of sales and marketing strategy in 2009, expanding into markets like China and India. So another woman CEO in the tech world. Excellent.
Good news for GTA fans because Rockstar's announced it's working on Grand Theft Auto 5. Or if you're a Veronica fan, Grand Theft Auto V. Not a lot of details on the newest version of the game yet, but rumors are it'll be set in Los Angeles and will be released in 2012. If you go ahead and visit rockstargames.com, you'll be greeted with a big, giant Grand Theft Auto 5 logo along with info on the trailer, which comes out on November 2nd.
Speaking at the 4G World Conference, Sprint's VP of Network Development, Iyaz Tarazi, let the world know that Sprint will bring LTE Advanced to its network during the first half of 2013. The news was first reported by Fierce Wireless. LTE Advanced allows for download speeds of up to 12 to 15 megabits per second. Sprint already announced it would switch from WiMAX to LTE next year. LTE and LTE Advanced use different spectrums, but their similar names will probably confuse lots of consumers.
Let's move on to the randomizer.
Randomizer.
Slashdot has the story about some researchers at Nagoya Institute of Technology in Japan creating robot legs propelled entirely by their own weight. They walk with a human-like gait without motors or external control. Now, part of us were reacting like, wow, that is so cool. They just walk on their own, but they have to be on a treadmill or going downhill. And then there was another part of us that reacted, well, what good is that if they can only walk downhill? What happens when they get to a hill? But this is pretty cool because it's actually mimicking the way we walk. We walk as controlled falling, essentially. So some of the applications they said could be used would be having them as, what is it called? Like an exoskeleton for people without limbs, without lower limb control. So they could actually use it to walk.
It's an advanced. We're
Really
kind of staring at it. If you're watching the video,
Yeah,
it's kind of mesmerizing.
Very mesmerizing.
Because you're watching this. Well, it's not even a robot. It's just. I guess it's just metal walking.
Yeah.
And it's kind of scary if you attach a motor to this thing. This thing can go anywhere for a long time, and we should all panic now.
It's weird because it's not like you're not getting that uncanny valley feeling because usually you look at a robot walking and you're like, that doesn't look quite right. It looks stunted. It looks weird. But this looks so natural that it's kind of freaking us all out.
And it's got two middle legs and two outer legs. And the outer legs walk in sync and the middle legs walk in sync. So it actually has got 4 legs. But they show in the video a 2-legged version of it being used as an exoskeleton that then helps somebody to walk who couldn't walk otherwise.
Because you can still partly swing and maybe move that momentum into making this thing move.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Like if you have knee damage or something like that.
I love it.
That's pretty great. I love that.
So it's not really a robot, but it might be even better.
Well, it could be a part of a robot, or it also could be part of accessibility.
Or if it is a robot, they'll email us and let us know.
Let's take a quick break and thank our other sponsor of today's show, Slingbox. Slingbox allowed me to eat yesterday.
Well,
Also,
that's good. That's
because
a relief.
I got home and the World Series was on. I'm a big Cardinals fan. They're playing in the World Series, and I needed to cook food. But the television is not viewable from the kitchen, right?
This dilemma.
Not a problem. Have the television on with the Slingbox on the iPad. I'm cooking. I'm watching the game. I'm hearing the game. It's like having an extra television. They turn your iPad into a television anywhere you take it, whether it's in your home or outside of your home, anywhere you got an internet connection, you get all of your television stuff. So check it out. Find a Slingbox demo at Best Buy or just go to slingbox.com/twit for more information. Slingbox in your home TV now appearing on iPads everywhere.
They're going to get him in the next game.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Let's not talk about that. Let's talk about what's on the calendar.
All right. Anti-Facebook social network Unthink has launched to the public, at least in private beta. It's a Tampa-based company, and their goal is to change the way people interact socially, how they interact with brands, not the way that brands work on Facebook, more of a, I like a brand, I choose to associate myself with that brand kind of thing. It's a very different way to look at social networks, not only wanting to take on Facebook, but LinkedIn, Twitter. I would like to tell you how great it works. But after TechCrunch wrote about them, I don't know, 7 hours ago, their servers have been up and down. I can't currently even use the invite code that Tom gave me. So if you've had better luck and you think that Unthink is going to be the next big thing, let us know. Until then,
I'm in.
I'll keep trying.
It's really slow, though.
Yeah, it's really slow.
Getting hammered right now.
Yeah, they are.
It's in beta, though. So
They're
give
going
them a
to
break.
need to figure out server load if they want to compete with Facebook. That's just, kind of...
That's why they're in beta.
Right. Nokia World is kicking off tomorrow in London. Everybody's expecting official details on Nokia's Windows Phone, obviously. Comic-Con in London is kicking off this Saturday, October 29th. That's at London's Excel Centre. November 3rd, HTC is announcing something. We don't know exactly what yet. Media invites went out today. It's probably going to be the HTC Resound, which was codenamed the HTC Vigor. 4.3-inch display, 720p. HD, 8-megapixel camera, beats audio. That's kind of the HTC thing now, so that's cool. And there will be a nationwide test, at least in the U.S., of the emergency broadcast system on November 9th. It's going to last 3 minutes, and this is actually the first official full nationwide test we've ever done.
Full
So don't
nationwide.
freak out.
Yeah. 3
You see it?
minutes.
Don't freak out.
Noise
This is
canceling
when the
headphones.
aliens are going to choose to invade.
Listen, when they do, we want to be ready. We need tests like this.
We'll just think it's a test. That's the problem. It'll be during this exact time.
No, when they actually invade, it won't say
They're
this is a
actually going to
test.
invade during the test. That's what I'm saying.
Well, that doesn't make any sense at all.
Well, let's check what's incoming then.
Incoming message.
You lead us off, Sarah Lane.
All right. Tino writes, I have a legitimately evil twin. He maintains the mirror universe goatee, which proves this fact. He is so paranoid that he very well might not upgrade to the iPhone 4S because I don't doubt he thinks I will sneak into his house, unlock his phone, and do something nefarious. You can actually see the paranoia piercing your soul here. Perhaps
Look at
you
the
better
evil twin goatee.
I know. Well, that's how you know he's
I
evil.
could see the evil in his eyes.
Perhaps you better refer to me by my code name, Ronaldo Diaz. He might be spidering the web for hits on me. Seriously, he's evil twin. Love the show.
And so he won't be. He's going to be turning off that facial recognition on his Android phone.
Well, and he should, Tino.
Next email about Anonymous shutting down that child pornography ring. Just a few clarifications. There have already been problems with the information released. One of Darknet's members was included in the list of usernames from Lolita City. They've backpedaled, saying it was included by a vindictive member spreading FUD who has since been kicked from the project, but there are at least one false positive already. 2, the information released by LC's user database contains no private information, so I don't know the value of releasing it outside of creating false positives, as in point number 1. And 3, the main attack is that they are DDoSing Freedom Hosting, which hosts the 40-plus child pornography websites. Cut off the hosting provider and you cut off the websites. I disagree with the Darknet needs...
No, he agrees.
I agree that the Darknet, thank you, needs some cleaning, but Freedom Hosting also hosts websites for legitimate activities. The DDoS took them down as well. I wish there were a better way about going about this. I just can't think of one, but the attention it is drawing will help bring one up. Thank you. As we work together to clean out what
As we
needs
work
it.
together, you and I, to read this email. No names, please. Okay, we won't give any names, but good information there. This was what I was worried about, that there would be some things outed that weren't appropriate, or were incorrect.
Right.
And he makes a really good point about Freedom Hosting more than just the child pornography websites. I don't know what those are, but if they are, then yeah, you're sort of throwing, I don't want to say baby out with the bathwater in this situation, obviously, but you're throwing out the good with the bad in that situation. So thanks for that, no names. Appreciate the stuff. All right, thanks everybody for listening or watching, and thanks to everybody in our Reddit at technewstoday.reddit.com. Stephen 3X, MacBites, Captain Kipper, you're just doing that to mess with me, aren't you? Habitual Condulce, Fire Jackson 1, PC Guy 8088, more, all submitted their stories at technewstoday.reddit.com. And 3,000 of you helped vote things up or down to decide what we watch and what we take care of on the show today.
Thanks, guys.
And thanks to you, Veronica Belmont, for being on the show. Great having you on again.
Thanks for having me.
What are you up to these days on the internet, Veronica?
Still doing Techzilla as always, and Sword and Laser, of course, and working on some new projects for the future.
What kind of new projects are you working on?
All sorts of good stuff.
What kind of good stuff?
Sword and laser stuff?
Wonderful sword and lasery stuff. Lots of very good, fantastic,
what is the Sword and Laser
things.
show? That sounds.
What is the Sword and Laser show? Well, Tom, it is a podcast that I host with my good friend Tom Merritt, where we talk about sci-fi fantasy books, interview authors, go to conventions, and generally have a rollicking good time with sci-fi and fantasy.
Huh.
Swordandlaser.com.
That sounds interesting. I think I'll host it.
I think you should do that.
All right. And thanks to everybody for watching or listening. You can find us on the web at twit.tv/TNT. You can also email us, TNT@twit.tv, and give us a call, 260-TNT-SHOW. Leave us a voicemail. If it's short and comprehensive and makes sense, we'll play it on the show. Natalie Del Conte and Simon Dingle live from Nokia World. Join us tomorrow. We'll talk to you then.